All right, it's time to finally make a sheet and then print that sheet. So you'll notice in the template, if you go over to the browser, you'll see that there's already a lot of sheets created for you. I'm just going to, I think I'm just going to delete all of them. First, let's look at the first one that says architectural floor plans. Let's click on that one, and you can see if you jump there, your floor plan is already on that sheet. That's because whoever set up the template already set up the sheets for you. But that's not helpful when you're learning. So let's delete the sheet and start from scratch. So let's go back to the main floor plan because I don't think you can delete a sheet if you're looking at it. So I'm going to shift select all of these so that they're all highlighted, and I'm going to hit delete. So now there are no sheets in this model. All right, so how do you create a sheet then? We're going to go over to the project browser right here where it says sheet, and we're going to right click and we're going to say new sheet. Now what it does is, if you remember title blocks, it's showing you all the title blocks that are loaded into this template. And what we want is we're picking the size of the title block we need. So basically, what size piece of paper are we going to print this on eventually? So a standard size is 30 by 42. That's type, they call it type E1. But another common size would be 24 by 36. That's typical residential, but I don't see one loaded in there for that. So we're not going to use that. We'll use 30 by 42. We'll pretend this is a bigger project. So you'll see that's E1, 30 by 42. And there's the same size of a cover page, but we don't want the cover sheet. We want just a typical title block. So you'll pick that one. So you'll highlight so you just pick the title block you want. And then we're just creating a new sheet below. So you'll just highlight new and you'll click OK. And now you'll see it's created a new sheet. This is the title block you picked when you were picking to create a new sheet. And then it's tried to name the sheet for you, but it's got it all wrong. It's C102. So we're going to right click on that and hit rename. And we're going to rename it. So if you're an architect doing architectural sheets, your sheets usually start with A. If you're an interior designer, they might start with interior design. So for this particular exercise, I don't care which you use. I'm going to use A because these are kind of architectural views that we're doing. So I'm going to do A. We'll just do 100. And that's the number for the sheet. And then we're going to name the sheet. We'll call this main. I'm going to do all caps, main floor plan. Click OK. And now you can see it updated the title block with the name of the sheet and the number of the sheet. So while we're here, another good practice is to make sure you finish filling out the title block. I will, when we get later into the semester, I will dock you points if you don't fill out the title block, because if you forget to fill out a title block in the real world and send it out, it's very embarrassing. So when you make a new sheet, it's good to just take the time to hurry and fill out the title block. So for us, you're going to be the person drawing it. So just put your initials there. I'm going to put BJW because that's my initials. I'm also the one checking it, BJW. So you can put your initials in both places. If you worked for someone, you might have a manager that you put their initials there. And then the date, we can just put today's date. Project number, let's just call this, we're in module 2. So we'll call it 2. Just call it 2. Why not? All right, the name of the sheet is already filled in, but if you wanted to change it, you can click on it and change it. So the project name, let's just call it First House. And then the client name, sure, you can be the client, your name here. So go ahead and put your name there. And then the rest of it, we don't have a bunch of consultants and all that. And we don't have a logo yet. We will eventually customize the title block, but for now, it's good enough if you'll just fill out the title block. Okay, so now you've made the sheet, you've filled out the title block. The other thing I want you to note is please remember the title block you picked. You should have picked an E1, but if you ever need to change it, you can click on the title block. And if you look over here in the properties panel, you can change it to another title block. So I could change it to an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper if I wanted to. And it remembers the stuff that you put in to the title block. So let's put it back to the way it was. We wanted an E1 30 by 42 horizontal. So that'll make it back the right size we want. But just remember, if you forget what size sheet you have, you can always come click here and it says 30 by 42. Okay, so now it's time to start populating the sheet with views. So for this, let's see if we can fit all three of our floor plans, the basement, main floor, and the roof plan. Let's see if we can fit it all on one sheet. In the real world, there's usually, it's a separate sheet for each one of these views, but we're just trying to experiment, so we don't need to do that. So all you need to do to put a view on the sheet is to simply highlight the view, click and hold, and then drag onto the sheet. And then you just click it again to place it. Now it's telling me I need to save, so that's probably a good reminder. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to call this exercise 2 and save. You guys should all save too. Save your work. I have lost work before. Okay, now you'll notice the view is on the sheet. I can grab it and I can move it around to wherever I want. So if we want to put it down here, we can. Then you'll notice it automatically gives you this tag, and it automatically puts in the name of the view in the tag, and it also puts the scale of the view. So I don't know if you've gone over scales in real life, but basically what it's saying is if you print this, if someone wants to take a ruler and measure the length of the wall, every 1/8 of an inch on the ruler equals 1 foot in real life. Okay. And you'll also notice if you go look in the browser, do you see how the basement now has the square next to it is filled in with a blue dot? That lets you know it's on a sheet already. So when you place a view on a sheet, it turns the dot blue. So let's put the main floor on here by clicking, dragging, and dropping, and then clicking again. We'll place it. And now you see it's got a blue dot. Now let's do the roof plan and place it. Okay, great. So now we've got our basement, our first floor, and our roof. Now, again, this is a weird template thing. Normally, the default is it will name the view the same name as the label on the sheet will be the same as the name of the view. But in this case, you can see someone's interfered. This is why I don't love the template. It really undoes a lot of the default behaviors. Instead of calling this first floor architectural plan, let's just name it the main floor. So if you click on the view, and then once you've selected the view, you can click the name and you can change it back to floor, main floor. And there you go. Perfect. So now everything's looking nice and tidy. The other thing I want you to notice is over here, if you look at the sheets and you look at our sheet that we're working on, see how it says A100 main floor plan? You can click the minus and it will collapse it so you can just see the sheet. But if you hit the plus button, it'll tell you what views are on the sheet. So you know, hey, these 3 views are down here on this sheet. it can come in helpful when you have a big set of drawings to know that. Okay. Now, the only thing we might do a little bit further is here, before I get too far into it, I do want to point out a couple things. I told you the title block needs to be filled out. The other thing I will dock you points on as the semester progresses is not having good names on the views. Right now, we're just experimenting, so the view names aren't really important. But when there's a lot of different floor plans in a set, I need to know which ones are a floor plan, which one is a furnishings plan, which one's a dimension plan. It becomes important later to label these. There's a point where we'll have a floor plan that's existing and then a new floor plan. They need to be labeled clearly so that anyone that's reading them can understand what they're looking at. If I'm a new person and I look at this and I can't tell what I'm looking at from the labels, then there's a problem, right? Because you're essentially trying to make instructions for someone else to build something for you. So you have to think, if you were someone else, how would I know what I'm looking at? So that's always something that's going to be in your mind when you make plans. So I will dock you points later on if you don't have views labeled properly. Okay, the only other thing I would probably bring up now is how to change the scale. So right now, do you see how the page is huge and our little floor plans are so small? In residential architecture, for a floor plan, it's standard to draw the floor plan at a 1/4 inch scale, meaning 1/4 of an inch on the paper would equal 1 foot in real life. Right now, it's set to 1/8 scale. So 1/8 scale is common in commercial where they're big, where the buildings are bigger, but for residential, we want to use 1/4 inch. So let's do that. So you can change it two ways. Well, there's a couple ways. You can click on the view, and over here are the view properties, and the top property that you can change is the view scale. So let's do that on the basement. Let's do it that way. Let's click on the view, go over here, and then let's change the scale to 1/4 inch. Okay, so now it got bigger. And then if you want to make this little line cover the whole bottom, which I like to, you can click on the view and then you can grab the line and you can extend it to the end of the view like that. Or you can just leave it like this as well. And then if you really want to, if you deselect everything and just click on the label, you can move the label around. So if you want the label to be somewhere else than where it came in by default, you can do that. All right, another way to change the scale is to go into the view itself. So let's go to the main floor, and you see down at the bottom where the scale is, you can click here and you can change it to 1/4 inch scale. And it doesn't look like it did anything in here because changing the scale doesn't actually change the size of anything in the model. It just changes how it looks on the sheet. So we got to go back to the sheet, and now you can see it's much bigger. And now you can see the scale says that. So let's make this consistent. Let's put this up a little bit closer, like we did there. All right, and now we can move this into place here. Okay, now the third way to change the scale is, again, by entering the view. You could go into the view and change it, but here's a little trick. The views right now, you can just move them around on the sheet, but if you click a view and you right click on it, you can activate the view. So if you activate the view, you see how everything else goes gray, but this is as if you're in the view. This is the same as if you were to go up here and click on the view. The only difference is it shows you can edit what's in the view while you're on the sheet, which is very helpful. So now you have the same view options down at the bottom that you would have as if you went right into the view. So let's change it to 1/4 inch. And then when you're done, you can right click, just right click anywhere, and you can deactivate the view. And now do you see how everything goes back black? And now you can't select the roof or anything anymore, but you can now move around the view. So let's make the same changes we made before. All right. So the other thing that I like to do to make it clean, you would never really put all these views on one sheet like I've done right now, but let's stack them nicely, and then let's make sure they're numbered 1, 2, 3. So that looks pretty good. The names are on there, the numbers are on there. Our sheet's all done. So congratulations, you've made your first sheet. Now we just need to export it.